It is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. This is another offseason edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. Thought we were going to see you next week, but then those scrappy little Detroit Tigers they hopped on and created chaos in the baseball world, Plouffe.
I was ready to go last night, but you were at a basketball game, and Jake was at a basketball game.
Yes.
So I'm happy that you and I decided to do it this morning because I think there is a lot of talk about, not just with the Tigers, but I think it affects like a lot of different teams. And Zach Gallen's probably like, all right, time to go.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yes, I went and checked out my Cleveland Cavaliers busting up on the LA Clippers like 24 hours after those two teams made a little trade.
So that was good. Like, are they a good team? I don't know anything about the NBA.
Yeah, they're good. They're about to get better. They just picked up James Harden for Darius Garland and a swap of all-star guards. So, yeah, will be interesting. Today is the trade deadline in the NBA world for our NBA fans out there, so I'm sure you'll all be tuned into that. But in the meantime, you are tuned into this, where it wasn't a trade but a free agent signing that kind of shook the baseball world to its core because Framber Valdez ends up in Detroit, Michigan. 3 years, $115 million. There is deferred coin in that. He has an opt-out after year 2. How shocked are you? That's where he ended up.
You know, like if you're talking just about rosters and fits, I'm not very shocked, but the Tigers just haven't really operated like this, like as of late. So that's the shocking part that they're like, okay, let's go out and do it. And I'm very happy for Tigers fans. I think this gives them actually a really, really nice rotation. You know, the more and more you look at like kind of like who they had, like Reese Olson, Casey Mize was an all-star last year. You know, they got Jack Flaherty, who's solid. They actually had some pitching depth, but now you have like, you know, arguably the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a different type of thing there. So yeah, like when we were talking about fits, I think the Tigers were always kind of one of the teams that we were saying like, hey, like this makes sense here. And again, they just haven't really shelled out this type of coin. The deeper you kind of dive, like, all right, is it Tarik Skubal insurance? Like, seems like that. It's also a way to capitalize on what might be his last year too. So it all makes sense for the Tigers. But to answer your question, like I was pretty surprised.
Shocked. That's the word I'm going to use. I mean, I was at the game last night and my oldest son, Josh, goes, damn it. Framber just signed with Detroit, and everybody knows, of course, we're Cleveland fans. It's the reason I can't wear a Detroit cap today. Hope you all respect that and understand it. I wouldn't expect...
You wear a Twins hat, and I think that's because you just don't respect the Twins.
That's exactly where we are these days. I'm not worried about the Twins. If the Twins made a major move, I'd be like, sure, why not? But Detroit, and we'll get to it, in my opinion, a huge favorite now in the American League Central. And as I said, we'll dive into that momentarily, but yeah, I was shocked. Look, at the beginning of the offseason, I thought Detroit was going to go offense, that if they were going to go all in on what I think will be the last season of Tarik Skubal, I thought maybe Bregman, they were going to make another run at him. They made a good run at him before last season. I thought maybe Bo Bichette certainly made sense there. If you were going to spend 9 figures, I thought it was going to be on a stick and not on Framber Valdez. Not that I have a problem with it. I think that it's a great, great move. But I'm shocked. I thought it was going to end up in Baltimore or Toronto or San Francisco or even with the Mets before the Freddie Peralta deal, just somewhere else. I did not see, yes, you know, his first big league skipper, AJ Hinch, is there. And AJ even did a little more intel on Framber Valdez since AJ left Houston. But it still surprises me.
We talked about Framber and kind of this like whole and who knows like how overblown it was.
Right.
Like, you and I have both heard stuff, not in the clubhouse though, you know, about his personality and what he'll bring to that clubhouse. I think AJ Hinch, I've talked about before, like managers I thought should welcome this challenge because that's kind of like that's your lane to keep a guy like motivated, in check, keep the clubhouse good. I think AJ Hinch is one of the guys that has like the most confidence in himself in the league.
God,
He loves himself. He's welcoming this challenge. Whether he did the due diligence or not and whatever he found, I think no matter what, he would have said, like, give me that guy because I know what he does on the mound. I'll handle, you know, what goes on in the clubhouse. So I think it's the more and more you start to go, and think about it, the more and more of a perfect match it is.
That's a great point about AJ. He does not lack confidence in his ability to connect with his players, to figure out exactly who they are when they are. And that's not a slight. I think that's an amazing thing. In fact, before all the BS from 2017 came out, I always felt like if you were having a managerial draft at that time, that you could have taken AJ Hinch number 1 off the board, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I thought that his ability to manage people at that time of his career, and I still think he does a very, very good job in Detroit. Some Detroit Tigers fans will say, listen, the stuff where you're pulling guys who are really good players, a la Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, out of playoff at-bats against left-handed pitching will drive you nuts. It's probably a separate discussion, but as far as we're just talking about connecting with people here, I think he's probably still one of the best in the game is my guess. So now you put him in a rotation. We just saw the graphic that Dan had up there with Skubal, with Flaherty, with Olsen, with Mize. It's pretty damn good. Where do you put Detroit in the AL power rankings right now?
Whew. Kind of had this discussion with Jake yesterday about like where do you have Toronto, where do you have New York? Because I think you have to start with those teams and the Mariners. I think those are still the top 3 teams to me. So I'll go Blue Jays because hey man, they made it the furthest last year and they made significant upgrades. I like them. So I'll go Blue Jays number 1, I'll go Mariners 2, I'll go Yankees 3, really banking on Cole and Rodon like coming back and being guys. And then I think the Tigers come into play at 4. I think that's my top 4 right there.
Yeah, and I think I would put him pretty close to Boston, to be honest with you. I know
Boston's interesting too.
Yeah, in fact, I think that Detroit's starting rotation projected WAR is only behind Boston going into this season. That's how much the metrics think about Boston Red Sox in this offseason. Now we can argue till we're blue in the face about what they should have done offensively, maybe to give themselves a little more pop, and certainly from the right side. But I think you're pretty accurate with Detroit. Here's where, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm a little miffed. The rotation's awesome. Did you do enough with the bullpen? You added Kenley Jansen. You brought back Finnegan. Okay, maybe I'll listen. I'm a huge Will Vest guy. I think that he's probably the least talked about, like most dominant reliever out there. I mean, when you never mention him and then you watch his stuff, you're like, God damn, how did it take this guy so long to figure it out or get a chance or whatever it was? But the problem last year was what, Trevor, with this team when we got to the playoffs and the second half of the year?
Offense.
Did they do one thing? I mean, Glaber took the qualifying offer, but that doesn't make your team any better. It just means that he's back. And I know that people will probably say that, yeah, there's areas where, Riley Green can cut out on his league-leading strikeouts, and Spencer Torkelson can continue to ascend because he did go up 120 points in his OPS from 2024 to 2025. Okay, is Zach McKinstry going to give you an all-star first half again? I suppose it's possible. I know that, and Scott Harris has come out and said this, like, we don't want to block our young guys. That's fine. I mean, is Kevin McGonigal the answer? He might be. I mean, he might be ready. It's certainly at some point this year. Tigers fans can correct me, but I don't think he's making the roster out of spring training. Maybe he will. And he looks the part, right? He's the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, and he looks the part. But I mean, I think that if you're a championship contender, that's a tough way to hang your hat, is saying that kid that's 21 years old is going to lead us to a different offensive stratosphere.
Agreed. I mean, I think if you're Scott Harris, I mean, do you have to pick one or the other? Are your constraints of that where like I can get Framber right now, which really solidifies what we're doing pitching wise, or I can go and kind of like what bats are available right now that would make a difference? You would have had to act obviously earlier in the offseason, bringing in a guy like Bregman, and of course they tried to do that, just didn't work out. So I mean, every interview that we ever hear from him, he likes the roster. and he likes what he's got going on in that system, partly because I think he's put it together. So there's a little bit of that, feeling when it's mine. You probably think it's a little bit better than it is, but I'm okay with what's going on in Detroit. Number one, they know they're going to be near the top, if not like easily winning the AL Central, and then we'll kind of see. I think that's the plan. Is let's see how it's going, and we can always add during the season. Like they have a nice farm system that they can either call guys up or they can make trades with.
Here's the thing. Once again, if I'm a Tigers fan, I know that it was an offensive struggle even to beat Cleveland in 3 games, which has a horrific offense. And some will say, well, look, they took the Mariners to the 15th inning of a decisive Game 5 and ended up losing. But look at their offensive numbers, which were putrid in the playoffs. They hit 6 homers in 8 games. They had an OPS barely above 600. They pulled Riley Green against left-handed pitching in the playoffs. And I know his splits were terrible. I get it. But Riley Green was the all-star starter in the outfield, and you're still pulling him. So something just doesn't add up about this team offensively, and that's why I can't put them on the same level as Toronto, New York, or Seattle.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. Like, would I have preferred, if I'm a Tigers fan, for them to do Framber and add a bat? I'm trying to think exactly who it could have been during the offseason besides Alex Bregman.
Well, so I mentioned Bo Bichette, who ended up signing
for Bo Bichette. I feel like the shorter deal for Bichette's interesting.
Yeah, but what he signed for? Didn't he sign for 142 over 3?
It just doesn't seem like that was ever really in the scope. Like, I know we've heard they made offers, but they weren't matching these offers. It didn't seem like. So if you're constrained, what's the next level that really would have made a difference?
I wonder if they overplayed their hand on Gleyber Torres, meaning could they have just not offered him the qualifying offer, even though he had a really good year last year and is a solid on-base guy? Do you think that they would have preferred to have him walk and maybe free up that $22 million?
It's 1 year.
By the way, I'm wrong. Bichette was 3 for 126.
Yeah, it was like 40 a year. I just don't think they just paid Framber that much.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's where if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm sitting here and seething a little bit.
I mean, yeah, Bo Bichette makes his team better. Yeah.
Than Framber Valdez does, right?
Ooh, that's a great question. Would you rather have Bo Bichette for this year or Framber Valdez?
Who would you rather have? I know my answer.
I think I'd rather have Framber. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm thinking about not just this year. Like, when Scoobs leave, he's not going to be there next year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive, massive hole to fill. Mm-hmm. Bigger than anything that Bo Bichette can do. So I think Framber makes sense for that reason. For this year alone, if Scoobs is there the entire year, then maybe I go Bichette. But over the next 3 years, thinking about him leaving, Scoobs leaving, I think Framber's the play.
Do you think, just look at it as a 1-year basis, do you think if Framber had not signed here, but Bo Bichette had, that is a World Series contender?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's currently a World Series contender with the way the offense looks?
Yeah, because they're going to get there, and we just need some of these guys to get hot in the playoffs. So yes. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? What do you mean? Like, they were one hit away from the ALCS.
I know. And people will say,
Polanco, man. I remember where I was during that game. It was crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't that long.
My friend Robbie's house. Shout out Robbie.
It was a season ago. It wasn't like when you were 12. I remember exactly where I was.
Dude, that's your lane. You're like, all right, this guy got the walk before, I'm not like that. I don't have that brain. My own career, yes, I remember most pitches, but that's not my game, coach.
That's okay. All right, so Tigers fans, let us in. Would you have liked the Bo Bichette move instead of Framber Valdez? Do you feel like you've got a World Series what, you don't like that question?
I'm just thinking about other people they could have brought in. Like does Geno make them so much better?
Mm-mm. No.
I
But
mean,
Bo Bichette,
he makes them better. How about some stolen bases? They're a station-to-station team.
but they do. They told us last year, and the
Take
metrics
the
told
extra
us, well,
base.
they're great at taking the extra base.
Okay.
That should not be downplayed, by the way. That should
No,
not.
it shouldn't. But you know how you could steal bases? That's taking an extra base.
That should not be squatty pottied. Okay.
Hey, people love that. You
That
saw
was-
the comments?
It was very funny.
I think I'm
going to have to invest.
You should.
I think I'm going to have to invest in a squatty
Squatty
potty.
potty. Hit us up for ads. I will sell so many squatty potties.
Yeah. All I can tell you is this, is that the Tigers are not going to blow a 15-game lead this year. They're going to win the AL Central. I would love for my Guardians to still be in contention. It's the reason I'm not wearing a Tigers hat. We've already told you that. And Framber shoves against my team. 5-0, I think, in 5 career starts, an ERA under 3. He's thrown a no-hitter against them. It's just, this is the worst possible signing for my squad, who's terrible at hitting left-handed pitching because we don't sign any right-handed sticks, and now we got to go Skubal and Valdez back-to-back. And this is come on. It's unfair. Do you think the Royals can give them a run? Because I'm not so sure that the Guardians can.
Yeah, I think they can give them a run.
Yeah,
there are times where the Royals look great, and then there are other times where they just
believe that too.
They're kind of a up and down team. Don't sleep on the Twins.
Stop. We got to move on. No, let us know where Detroit ranks in the AL pecking order. If you would rather have seen Bo Bichette instead of Framber Valdez, if you're a Tigers fan, are you okay with how the offense looks? You say, hey, Scott Harris is right. Like, we'll let McGonigal get up here. Hopefully some of the guys are a lot better than they were in the second half in the postseason last year. We'll see. Now, there's another aspect to this whole Framber thing, and it has to do with the 2-time Cy Young Award winner, Tarik Skubal, who, of course, just had his arbitration case held hours before Valdez signed his free agent deal. Now, some have been critical of this, saying that the team on one hand is trying to argue why Tarik Skubal should make $19 million this season instead of $32 million. And then hours later, what do? They hand a deal that's $38 million a year to a different left-hander who hasn't done anything in a Tigers uniform. Does that complaint have merit to you?
No, because that's not their fault. It's the system's fault. It's the arbitration system's fault. And I think, I don't know. The number one thing I thought when you sent this question, I was like, how did Tarik Skubal react? And immediately he put out a post like stoked about it, saying dinner's on you, Framber. And so it's just, is it a bad look, like PR wise? Yeah, but it's just the system. It is what it is. The arbitration system stinks. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to change. We'll see. But some part of me also thinks, Chris, that having that big of a gap was like, all right, like, go shoot for the moon, Scoobs. We'll be happy to pay you, and then we'll kind of like throw this down here, and if we win, we're going to add that payroll to the team. And then maybe I'm just stupid thinking about it that way, but again, my initial thought was, how did Skubal take it? He reacted fine, and again, it's just a byproduct of like kind of a stupid system. I would do the same.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Tarik Skubal's like, are you kidding me? For people who are like, man, this must have really pissed Tarik Skubal off big way. Are you kidding me? He just watched a guy who's not. Framber Valdez is a very good pitcher, extremely consistent. He's always going to give you 190 innings. He's out there every 5 days, a whole bit. What Tarik Skubal has done the last 2 years is out of this world good. So he's sitting there going, you're going to pay him almost $40 million a year? Awesome. That's great for me. I mean, I love Detroit. I'll come around here in the offseason and go take pictures at a Pistons game and at a Lions game and go walk past Comerica Park and take this scenic shot. But I ain't staying for the amount of money you're offering. I'm just not. I'm going somewhere else. And so he feels just fine. You know what this did, in his opinion? It gave him a better chance to win the World Series. That's all.
It's gonna be fascinating to see what they do with Skubal this year. Like they have to hang on to him now, right? Like they're gonna offer him a qualifying offer. They're gonna get a pick, and that's it.
Dan, just make sure that there's been no announcement on Skubal.
Yeah, people have been saying, "Oh, that initially I knew this was coming." Everyone was gonna say, "Well, that means he lost his arbitration case. He's making 19." I don't think that's for sure the case.
No,
I think they saw an opportunity to go get Framber on a 3-year deal and took it.
Right. There was a report last night that, there was a report that neither side knew what was going on. So that makes sense.
And also, here's the thing with Scoobs. When you get this close to free agency, you start to take insurance policies out on yourself. Like he knows no matter what happens, he's getting paid.
He's getting paid.
He's getting paid.
Now, it might take a little while. I don't know if we're going to have business in December for baseball.
Yes, we are, Chris.
Well, you're confident.
Put me at the table. Let me get these two sides to reach in. Right that.
Trevor Plouffe, baseball saver.
I have been reached out to from both sides already.
Wow, look at you playing mediator.
I think I am. I think I'm the freaking glue that's going to keep Major League Baseball intact, okay?
I've been reached out to by both sides. Does that mean that Rob has been on the phone saying, "Hey, Trevor"?
Me and Bobby Manfred? No, I haven't talked to Uncle Rob yet. Although he might come around.
Could
during the season, yeah. I think him and I will be buddies. We go golfing together. We talk about the business of the sport. I would recommend a lot of things. I would congratulate him on a turnaround of a tenure.
Yeah, PR wise,
looking so hot for Bobby, and then all of a sudden he's crushed it.
I would agree with that. The PR wise, I think it has turned a little bit. All right. By the way, what's your gut feeling? Once again, as of the taping of the show, no announcement on the arbitration hearing. Do you think he wins or doesn't?
I think it's really hard for an arbiter to sit and say that he doesn't deserve that money. Like, what are they going to point to?
Well, as long as you can now use the cases outside of leading toward arbitration. Remember, that was the only way you could only use similar guys in your similar situations. Now they can use everybody else's contract, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have made $40 million, $42 million now.
Right.
It's like I don't see how they could argue against it. So I'm operating on the assumption that he won that case.
And we are both in agreement that this is his last year in Detroit.
Unless they got some private equity coming in to the ownership group. Yeah.
This is his last year in Detroit.
Yeah.
I think
that's another reason why they made this deal.
Yep. All right, listen, we had heard Framber Valdez rumored to go to a bunch of different places. Baltimore, Toronto, the Mets were in for a bit, it sounded like, maybe San Francisco. So there's a bunch of teams that had their fingerprints all over this possibility, and it ends up going to Detroit. Which team do you think, whether it's this year or a couple years from now, is going to look back and say, damn, we should have done this deal?
I think it's the two teams with the primary color of orange. You mentioned them at the beginning of the show, but it's the Orioles and the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are kind of just stuck around that middle point where, like, all right, like we think they're pretty good, but it just really hasn't happened for them. And if you look at their rotation, I know they have a 5-man right now, but I think you could use a guy. I mean, anyone could use a guy like Framber, and you need a team with a good left side of the infield, which they do have. So I think he fits really well there. And if they wanted to take that hump and get out of that middle ground, this is a way to do it. And I believe they'd still be under, with his salary, they'd still be right at or right under the first tax threshold. So like they could have done this deal with no penalties, which is nice. And then it's also the Orioles, which we've talked about extensively on this show, where we feel like they're a little light in the pitching department. They've done such a good job in revamping that roster. We're believers in them for 2026, but again, just to get over that hump and to put themselves into a different tier, Framber's the guy.
The easy answer is Baltimore. I'll make an argument for San Francisco because I think that if you had Webb, Framber, and Robbie Ray at the top, like all of a sudden you're talking about pretty good. And they made some nice veteran
Yeah.
signings, I think, in Arise and Bader that will help them offensively. And Bader obviously helps them, especially defensively. But they haven't been able to get that guy that they've wanted to in free agency offensively. So why don't we get a pitcher that can really help you out? I mean, they got such a good deal on the Logan Webb extension. Such a good deal. Could you imagine having Logan Webb and Framber Valdez, who are ground ball machines, and give you innings and give you starts? Like that is big time stuff when you're trying to make a push for a wild card spot.
Yeah, it saves your bullpen a ton, keeps them fresh throughout the year, which I think is a big deal and something that we'll probably start thinking about more and more as we evolve as a baseball society. Is how do we not have guys throw 70 appearances, 80 innings, which I think we're kind of headed towards that way. Eventually, that's going to come to a what do you call that? Not a fork in the road, but a stop, I guess I'll just say. And we're going to have to figure out how to keep guys at that 50 inning mark because that's going to be their most effective way to pitch. So we're at a weird spot with pitching, Chris. I actually think about that more than I should. Like, where are we going with starting pitching? What's the future of innings pitched? How are we packaging these guys? When we have more and more data coming out year after year about stress pitches and what that number is, and we're learning about that. Is it the drop in velo? Is it the drop in arm angle? The spin? When does the decline start? They're going to pinpoint that eventually. They're going to be able to say, okay, this guy, this is when he's starting to deteriorate on the mound, and we're going to get him out of there. So what does that mean for pitching? I don't know.
While you were discussing that, I kept thinking if I were an Orioles fan, how pissed I would be today. I really would. As great as an offseason as it's been, hallmarked by the signing of Pete Alonso to a $155 million deal, I'd be like, man, this could have been A++. They could have had the best offseason of any team out there, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, they would have.
You could have made that argument. If you bring in Framber, all of a sudden, I think you kind of alluded to this a few weeks ago that you felt like Baltimore was in the race for the American League East.
Yeah, I did say that. I think there's a shot for that if they have a lot of the guys kind of come back to life, and obviously you add Pete and Taylor to.
But could you imagine if you had added Framber to that? God,
it'd be a gauntlet, that's for sure, in the AL East if they had Framber, and we're talking about the defending AL champs. We're talking about the Yankees, who have maybe the best right-handed hitter we've seen in maybe ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the freaking Red Sox, who we were really high on. Yeah. And the Rays, just who knows? Never know.
I want to hear from the fans out there of those. We didn't even mention Toronto. Toronto had an interesting offseason, didn't they? They missed out on some guys. It sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, I like their team.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I wonder if Toronto fans are a little upset that they didn't, right? We thought Kyle Tucker was a lock. Didn't go up there. Then pivot somewhere else. Didn't really happen.
So Jake actually brought this up about the Yankees. I said, who do you got for AL East favorite? Do you think the Yankees is the Toronto? And he said, he goes, I keep going back to the series against Boston, wild card series. He goes, the Yankees won that, but really it started because Jarren Duran dropped the ball. And if the Yankees would have lost that to the Red Sox, how much different would their offseason have been? They surely would not have had this same offseason, just because it would have seen as more of a failure than losing in the next round. And I think about that for the Blue Jays. Hey, they made it the World Series within 2 outs of winning the whole dang thing. When that happens, you're kind of like, all right, we're good. I know they went out and signed guys. but like the tenacity of the offseason, I think, changes when you have success like that.
Look, it wasn't like they did nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, they started with Dylan Cease in the
that was
offseason.
early too. Shoot,
Very early. You almost forget that it happened.
Two guys who I can't wait to watch pitch just because I have personal connections with them. One is on the Blue Jays, Cody Ponce, coming back from the KBO, and also it's Drew Anderson for the Tigers.
Right.
Like, where is he gonna be now in that rotation? Is he still got a spot?
Well, didn't he say that that's what he wanted? He wanted to pitch in the rotation when he came here?
Right. Yeah. Right now, he probably does. Him and Troy Melton. Remember Troy Melton? How freaking good.
Remember, he was freaking filthy.
What is that? I just thought about that. What does that mean for him? Obviously not there.
Look, you're going to need somebody at some point. Reese Olson had a tough injury last year.
Yeah.
But the rest of those guys, for the most part,
oh gosh, I forgot about Troy Melton for a second there.
Yeah, he's nasty. He's really good. All right. One other signing on Wednesday. Padres bring in Miguel Andujar, 1 year, $4 million. Does that do anything for you?
It does a little something for me. Maybe like a platoon bat out there with sheets or something like that. Hits lefties really well.
Really well.
Happy the Padres made a move. I don't know. Like I like the Padres. Do something for you?
Yeah, career mark of 807 OPS against lefties. Last year he had almost a one-dotter against left-handed pitching. Jeez. And this is a team that didn't even have a 700 OPS against lefties. So they needed this. I think it's a very good sign for $4 million.
Savvy move. Does it change what they're doing? I don't know. I guess it does.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
Me to say that it doesn't do that much for me. I'm sorry.
He did a nice job with the A's and the Reds last year. And there could have been another team from the state of Ohio that could have used his right-handed stick. I don't need to mention who that is.
Stop. You know what? You tell me to stop talking about the Twins. Stop talking about the Guardians.
Except that they have made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. So, we've actually needed to talk about them in October.
You should have worn a Cleveland hat today.
Probably should have.
Oh my God.
Probably should have.
Just at the ready.
In the bullpen.
I don't have another hat out here. Oh, I do. World Series. Where my Twins are going this year. All the way, guys.
What's that say? You just got a generic World Series hat?
Yeah, you know what? This is so sweet because we went to this Jake and I went to this corporate party when he was out here. It was so funny. So funny. We did not belong there at all. People were looking at us like, who are these idiots?
Yeah.
And they were handing these hats out.
Oh.
It's a cool hat.
It is a cool hat. I mean, the next thing you're going to walk in and wear a hat that just says baseball on it. Baseball. Sure.
Me and Rob Lowe. He wears his MLB hat. I wear my World Series hat.
Right.
We're good.
I frequently think of the two of you aligned.
I like Rob Lowe. I think we get along together. He's got a little bit more energy than I do.
You probably would. I mean, he was a superstar when he walked in. He is a superstar. When he walked into the John Boy Media offices, people couldn't get enough of him. And all these young kids were like, I had to go check out a Rob Lowe movie. I was like, I saw it when it was out in the theaters, folks.
Yeah.
He's
you go. Good, man.
All right. Well, we're definitely taking Friday off. I got some Super Bowl duties over the weekend. You got a winner?
Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
I heard from someone that I think knows a lot of football who thinks Seahawks by like a lot.
Well,
I'll take Seahawks by, I said to Jake, 13.
Wow. People forget that before Trevor Plouffe had this wonderful love affair with Matthew Stafford, that he was once a Seattle Seahawks fan.
True.
Yeah. And so, of course you may. Here's one thing. I just saw that the Seahawks' outstanding rookie safety, Nick Imanwori, injured his ankle. I just saw a video of him limping to the hotel.
He'll be all right.
Let's see.
Those guys get ready for the game no matter what.
The ankle's an ankle, bro.
They kind of let those guys do whatever. Are you allowed to like say who you think's going to win, or you can't even do that?
Yes, I will say that on Sunday. If you care to support, and I do always appreciate it. NFL Network, I'll be hosting the last hour of the pregame show, which is game day morning. But at the time I start hosting, it'll be game day late afternoon snack. So I'll do that before the game. Then right after the game's over, after the trophy presentation, flip on over from NBC to NFL Network. I'll be down on the field with Michael Robinson and MJD interviewing all of the stars of the Super Bowl, which is a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I think they do know how great you are, but to be able to do this, MLB stuff, NFL stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to get to do it.
American Gladiators.
Coming back. Countdown is on. I'll be telling people about that.
If Coop's part of that, make sure you say hello for me.
Oh, yeah, I will.
And then good luck to my friend Matthew tonight. We'll see if he gets the MVP or not.
Yeah.
Come on.
NFL honors. John Hamm is your host. All right. That'll do it for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you soon again here on Baseball Today.